So whenever I used to shop for beads, I like lettered beads, and so I tried A through N, and then
They didn't work out well.
no, I actually tried A through L.
A through L. So you tried.
I tried A through L.
Like an L, right? I get it.
Yeah, and then I got to the M beads.
Was those the best beads?
Yeah, those are really nice.
Welcome to the Best Friend Weekend Podcast, man. It's your homeboy Aldo Nice. It's sitting in again with me. It's my man's Raj Smooth.
Now you said that as if I'm a guest.
I mean, you're not a guest, but I guess you're on the podcast. Somebody asked me the other day. He was like, "Why I can't be a guest on your podcast?" And he spelled it Guess, and I was like, "That sir,
is why.
It's why you can't be a guest."
Sorry for your loss.
Sorry for your loss. I need you to be all the way correct. But listen, we got a lot of good feedback just from the couple of teasers we threw out there. So we're gonna do a simul drop. We're gonna drop a few things all at one time, and something that's kind of been on our head to do a quick podcast about is the Netflix.
Speaking of been on that head, this podcast is brought to you by Odell's Tattoo Parlor.
Please,
you need any butt tattoos?
Odell's a good guy. He catches balls. I reach back like 1-3.
Reach back for what? If I need a butt tattoo, I will be sure to hit up Odell. Be sure to hit up our friends over at Odell's Tattoo Parlor.
Odell's Tattoo Parlor. Leave Odell out of this. We're going to talk about him a lot. We're getting into Dear White People, the Netflix smash hit of the spring season, early summer. It's all a rave. We've heard a lot of good things about it, a lot of different type of things about it, and we wanted to talk a little bit about the Dear White People show. I mean, I'll lead in and say this. I read an article on The Ringer, and I mean, I get a lot of my information from sites like The Ringer and things of that nature, and they told us the name of the article was Dear White People Doesn't Know How to Reckon with 2017. And the whole article by this young lady was just talking about how it's outdated and the characters suck and things suck about the show and yada, 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 yada. So I was like, hey.
Was she white?
No, she's actually a black person. I think she's woke. I think she's woke, a woke black woman with natural hair. So I tend to listen to people on The Ringer. You say what now?
I said I think she's a hater.
She very well could be a hater. I'm not good. I don't know. But I read it and I respect The Ringer, so I kind of was like, okay, this probably sucks. But then, like, I was talking to a friend of mine and she says, hey, Dear White People's actually pretty cool. And I was like, I'm not going to listen to you. The Ringer says that it was terrible. And then Raj said, hey, guess what I'm watching? Dear White People. So here we are. I binge watched it. Yeah. I binge watched it to catch up with you.
1.5 days, I'm going to say. That's about what it took because I was glued.
I was a whole 2-day. I did a Sunday, Monday turnaround. I watched an episode at work, but I got it in one on a treadmill. These things, it got done pretty quick. So
mine all came from the confines of my sofa.
Oh, well, damn. That means you winning, man. You were able to catch it in a real put together fashion, which is probably the best way to watch it. You were able to inhale all of the content at once. You know, it's 2017. People like to get all of the content at once. So I'm kind of jealous. I heard people actually do things like miss the whole season of Game of Thrones and then watch them all at one time.
Well, why wouldn't you do that?
I mean, I feel like the anticipation would be killing me every week. Like everybody's talking about, oh, did you see what happened with Sansa Stark? And you wouldn't know anything until the end. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
How awesome would it be if you just skipped the whole Saints season?
Oh, wow.
Didn't know what happened.
Wow.
And then got to watch all the games just in, a weekend or so.
Wow. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy.
Something I would never do because that is anticipation. That's live. But the fact that they leave us if the Saints were designed, and they kind of are, but I mean, creatively designed to leave us with a cliffhanger every single week, then maybe I would wait. but unfortunately, it's live, so I watch it.
Will
And,
Drew Brees be back next week? Will Pierre Thomas catch another screen pass? Yeah, that would be awesome.
Will Odell Beckham get another butt tattoo?
Let's get back to the subject at hand, man. What was your thoughts, man? You binge watched 10 episodes in a day and a half. Tell me what your thoughts are on Dear White People.
Well, so my biggest impression from Dear White People was the fact that they didn't. It wasn't a show that I didn't feel there were any. I didn't feel that it was a total cliche.
Okay.
I felt that there was representation from every view, if you will. So there was of course the Black Power feel, like that I don't know which side it would be on. Let's call it far right. That far right Black Power. Down for the cause, we shall overcome. You know what I mean?
Why wouldn't you
keep
call
your
it the
eye
far
on the
left?
prize.
Why wouldn't you call
Well,
it
I
the
can
far
call
left?
it we could go whatever way. I mean, it's a spectrum.
Go ahead.
And I don't want to put anything on a left or a right side. I'm just being arbitrary.
Go ahead.
But you definitely got me off my whole my high horse because I was on a infomercial, a black infomercial. Oh no, my brother, you got to get your own. I was going there, and so I like that was my favorite thing about the show was that it didn't cater to one particular view.
Okay. I mean, I guess I could deal with that. A big thing that kind of jumped out to me is, I went to HBCU. I didn't go to PWI. So
Louisiana Lafayette,
which would be a PWI, right? But my thoughts were that it kind of almost had an HBCU feel within that. What was the name of their college? Anderson Parker. Like within the AP house, it was like they had a bunch of different spectrum of black, like you said. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it was all nestled inside of this bigger picture of them trying to identify their blackness. I feel like that's something that goes on at any college, at a predominantly white institution, at a historically black institution. I feel that there's always this sense of blackness that people develop in college. Like you get there, and are you going to be that far radical black power daishiki chewing on sticks and smelling like Jamaica? Or are you going to be like in this fraternal organization sorority thing? Or are you going to be like, where are you going to be in that spectrum? No matter what kind of institution you're in, you usually fall into some of those things. So I thought that was interesting about the show.
Right. So yeah, definitely. I feel like we agree on that's what we like about the show. So,
but did I love the show? Let me take that back. I'm not gonna go that far. I mean, they had their instances. Like I thought the African dude was pointless. Like he was
the guy was very, very pointless.
Like
I get it.
You got an African.
The one thing,
bop. Like what?
He made a great joke, though. It was a good joke.
What joke did
he make? You know what joke I'm talking about. I hope you know what joke I'm talking about.
Refresh my memory.
Well, him and I believe it was Troy got into a little a quick scuffle, nothing serious. And he said something like, the difference between me and you is that my ancestors were clever enough to not get caught.
Yeah, I do remember that.
That's good. They should have elaborated a little bit more on that, but it was quick and they let it go. And it was funny to me.
And I mean, I think that article that I read that told you not to watch Dear White People was talking a lot about that. They were saying that it was a lot of cliche humor that wasn't really funny, and it was just little one-off jokes that didn't really hit in 2017. And I was thinking to myself, get over yourself. Like, what do you expect from TV? Like, what do you really expect?
Well, what I think about certain people these days, or certain people that write articles these days, for sure, and even sometimes I might fall into that category, is I go into, I watch something or I listen to, some music, and and I have already made my opinion about it, or let's say other people already make their opinion about it before they even watch it or listen to it. So I think the fact that it was like, oh, dear white people, and I think she probably knew a little bit about, a little bit what it was going to be about, because maybe she saw the movie first, and I didn't see the movie first. In fact, I still have. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I did actually go to the movies the week that the movie came out. It was one of those things I felt like at the time I had to see. It was like 2014, 2015. I had to be in attendance to check that out. And it was pretty good. I liked it.
Well, okay, so getting back to my point, because I didn't see the movie. Don't spoil it for me. But
it's the same shit that happens in the TV show.
It's just in a 2-hour window.
It's the same plot. They just expand on the characters.
So yeah, I mean, kind of forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Bigger point. Let's just talk about some things that I really wanted to say. Like, who was we've discussed the fact that the African dude was kind of pointless, but I want to know who your favorite character was, and maybe even you could throw in your least favorite character as well, if you've thought about that as well. So, I don't know. Who stuck out to you as your favorite character from Dear White People?
Favorite. You know what? So I'm gonna actually break that one up. My favorite character, and then the character who I'm most like.
Oh, okay. You can quantify it how you want. I'm with it.
Well, that's good. Thank you for that.
This podcast is brought to you by Understanding Friends. Not necessarily best friends all the time, but whoever is going to be an understanding friend, this podcast is brought to you by them. Thank you.
So my favorite character. My favorite character was Sam. I know. Everybody's favorite character is probably Sam. She's like the lead character. It's just like in Family Guy. My favorite character is Peter. Whatever. So anyway, favorite character is Sam. One, I thought that she was like, of course she's really pretty, but I liked her. I liked her energy. I thought that she was like super cool. I liked her hair. There was, a lot of things that I liked about her. Whatever. Probably more physical attraction. But the character that I think that is most like me, since you didn't ask that, but I'm going to tell you
at all,
is Coco.
Okay.
I think I'm more like Coco, in the sense that, and granted, this podcast is brought to you by Losing Friends, by way of podcast. But I always think that there's two sides to every story. And I think most of the people that know me know that. So I don't give us black people a pass just because we're black.
Okay.
And I do think that I do believe that there is a right and a wrong way to act. And I'm not saying that we don't know how to act, but if you listen to our first podcast, then you'll know that one of my beliefs is that we struggle with etiquette. And I think that Coco has that same belief.
Okay. So let me preface it with this. That when you said Sam is probably everybody's favorite character, if I started with my least favorite character, I would start with Sam, because Sam needed to get the fuck over herself the whole season. I did watch the movie. In the movie version of Sam was cute. The TV version of Sam, not so much. I didn't think so. I thought Coco was hot. I thought Coco was a big, fine Nubian woman who was taller than the guy. She was on Troy, and I remember her walking next to her and being taller than him, and I was like, oh, that's a big healthy woman. And I thought Coco was a lot sexier in that regard. So we're in different places there. I thought Sam was like very much full of herself and trying to be like the rabble rouser all of the time. I get it. Reggie was deferring to her. People thought she was cool. She had a television show. She was eloquent. That's cool. My favorite character, actually, was Lionel up until like episode 2. Okay, so I was a big fan of Lionel. Like I listen.
So you liked episode 1, Lionel, and then all of a sudden episode 2 came and he's no longer your. That's crazy. So the whole show, Lionel did enough in episode 1 to be your favorite character.
Can I elaborate? All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my thing about Lionel was they did a great job. I felt like of going right into his backstory of being kind of like the
into
nerd
his back,
picked
into
on.
his backbone.
This podcast is brought to you by Odell Beckham. If we haven't already said it, Backbone Tattoos, live and direct on the Simcoe Strip. They will be. Let me get back to Lionel. So my thing with Lionel was I felt like they were giving it. They were going with his backstory. He was kind of like the underdog, and I was rooting for Lionel. Now this is gonna come across a way, but What do you say a lot? Sometimes we'll get into a conversation and one of our homeboys will do something a little flamboyant. And you'll say something like, well, 1 out of 6. And we'll look like, damn, one of my homeboys might be gay. But whatever. That's still my homeboy if he's gay. This might be a little bit hitting the wrong buttons, but I feel like sometimes in today's culture, our TV has to have a gay dude in every show. And fine.
Hold on. Are you saying that that's necessary? Or are you saying that
I feel like Hollywood thinks it's necessary?
Oh, okay.
Okay,
right,
so
I agree with
my
that.
biggest point is I've grown up with, and maybe someone would say that a lot of the guys we grew up with, and even some of us, grew up as kind of the Lionel. Like the guy who people were like, oh, he's a nerd, he's this or that. And then other black dudes on campus like, hey, that nigga gay. Boy, gay. Same thing with like Moonlight. The whole movie, Chiron. Oh, you gay, Chiron, you gay. You hear that all the time, but them boys don't really end up being gay. It's just how they come at them when they little boys. So I felt like it would have been a cool little pivot for them to always be like, you gay, and then he would have been like, nah.
And then him not really be gay?
He's not really gay. Like he's just a regular dude that they calling gay the whole time.
I don't think it was necessary for him to be gay.
My point exactly. Go ahead. I think they could have built a strong character for Lionel.
Just being like a quiet black dude, like just a quiet but yet inner strong black guy.
There you go. I don't need him beating off in the next room about Troy smashing in the other room. Like I don't. Speaking of, 100% convinced. 100% convinced. In fact, so much so that I held my face and I only had a little bitty peek, but I 100% was convinced that he was gonna grab Troy's meat during that haircut scene. 100%. Well, when you get a haircut, if your barber is not skilled, you will feel meat warmth all around your neck and face while he's cutting your hair.
This podcast is brought to you by every black barbershop in America. If you don't feel his meat on your knee, then your edge ain't right.
Your edge is not right if that man ain't meeting you. Like you have to get met.
If you don't move your knee around his meat,
you gotta feel a little uncomfortable.
Right.
You're doing it yourself. You're doing it all wrong.
But here's the thing. Because you're the person that's sitting there taking it, I'm wondering if he knows.
If he putting that meat on you on purpose.
If he knows, or if he's putting that meat on you on purpose.
Putting that meat on you on purpose. That's what's not happening.
He's focused on your lining. He's focused on getting your line straight.
He's involved in the process.
And you know how sometimes you might. I don't know.
Speaking of the process, this podcast is brought to you by Joelle. From the TV show, Joelle Embiid. I actually like Joelle as well. I thought she was kind of cute too. My biggest thing with her and that Reggie thing, I kind of was applauding Reggie for this. It took me until like later in life to get a little grown to understand this. When I was a kid, I used to be like, I like this girl, and her friend would be like, but I like you. And then I would be like, all right, I'll talk to the friend because the friend likes me. I like how Reggie's kind of was sticking to his guns. And being like, nah, I want Sam. I don't want you. I know you kind of like throwing it at me. It's kind of like would be an easy lob, but he was sticking to his guns that he wanted Sam for.
Why did he want Sam?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's obvious.
Go ahead. Tell me.
he wanted Sam for the same reason she was my favorite character.
Oh, because she's hot? Stop it.
Because she light skinned and she got pretty eyes.
She's not fine, though. She's not fine.
No, she wasn't necessarily bodily fine,
Yeah.
but she was pretty. She had really pretty eyes.
If you was a white dude and you thought I was gonna ask you something, but I'm not gonna ask you that. If you was a white dude and you was on the movie Get Out and you could come back as any of the black dudes, like you could steal their body and you could steal any one of the black dudes on Dear White People, who you coming back as?
This question about to be a breeze.
Yeah, a breeze, big fella, because it better be Troy.
It's big fella. Troy.
It better
Off
be Troy.
top.
It better be
If
Troy.
I could go back to college and somehow be Troy and get out myself into being Troy,
What?
this question about to be a breeze. I'm Troy.
You Troy, off top. Okay. Just making
Troy
sure.
literally smashed every single chick on the show.
Yeah, you gotta like Troy. You gotta like how Troy come in. And I love the fact that his pops, Dean Fairbanks, reprised his best role as an actor. You might not know him as a big time actor because I don't know him, but his best role ever was in How High when he was the dean. Like, he's the same dean in this. Like,
Same
you forgot
dean.
about that. You didn't know it, huh? You didn't know it. Go ahead.
Look here,
Oh,
nigga.
you got something extra. Go ahead.
Look here, nigga.
Look here, nigga.
That's my favorite. That's the best. That's the best line of the whole thing.
It is. It made me audibly laugh out loud. Laugh out loud, literally, like we say.
Because you
Look here.
didn't expect it.
Look here, nigga. Dean Fairbanks. Let me give you another character that you didn't even know was in the show, probably. Do you know who's the narrator?
No, I don't.
The narrator of the show is Giancarlo Esposito, Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. And, you know, if you're black, like black people, like Dear White People, but like if you're black, if you're woke, Dean Big Brother Almighty. Yeah, my guy. Giancarlo, we like that guy, man. That was happy
Giancarlo
for
a Sigma or something like that?
No, man, you never watched School Days. But I wouldn't expect you to have watched School Days. But School
No.
Days is a very black movie. It takes place at a HBCU. You pretty much watch it when you pledging. Like, I mean, you know, when I went through the membership intake process. This podcast is brought to you by fraternities who don't haze anymore and people go through the membership intake process. This one's for you, paper people. Okay, a little bit more. I want to dive into some things. I see who you like. I think we got a lot of the same likes and some of the differences there. I mean, obviously, but episode 5. Episode 5. I think the majority of the rest of the time we need to talk about this show, we need to be talking about episode 5. Was it episode 5? It was either 4 or 5. Whatever. You know which one I'm talking about. The party scene, the Reggie scene. They I think the guy who directed Moonlight, maybe, I might be misspeaking, directed that episode. So that episode was action packed. It got me to thinking. So this, hopefully I don't drum up some old things, but I remember a conversation that you and I had when we were a lot younger. We were going back and forth about political beliefs. It was around the time of the election, possibly in 2008, possibly in 2012, but more likely in 2008. And we were talking about our political views. And you'll probably, over the course of this podcast, we'll get into some things that are a little bit more politically motivated. And something I told you was about why I consider myself and why I vote for the Democratic Party. And a lot of it was this. A lot of my friends, they're well-to-do black people, and they vote against their economic interest a lot because, as my homeboy Jay Harry says, I'm with my people. Like, I'm voting with my people. I mean, I could vote for me and what makes, sense for me economically, but I know that there's injustice in America, and I have to vote with my people. Not that the Democratic Party is perfect. We're in a bipartisan system that is probably the worst way to elect like a leader of the free world. But anyway, within that conversation, what we got to was that you didn't feel necessarily the need to say I'm voting with my people in that regard because for other reasons. And I remember asking you specifically, have you ever had that moment that made you feel like racism was real? Like, did you have that moment where you were like, fuck, they discriminating against me right now and doing something very wrong to me right now because of the color of my skin? And at that time, which was 9 years ago, you were like, nah, it's never happened. It's not something that, no, I wouldn't put myself in that situation, is how you responded to it. I'm just curious if that made that scene with Reggie, how did it make you feel? What feelings did that elicit for you?
So that it didn't elicit any feelings of empathy.
Okay.
It definitely made me feel it made me feel uncomfortable knowing that someone on you kind of you grow close to some of the characters that you watch on TV. Maybe some people watch TV a little differently than I do, but I get into it. I like to talk about it. I like to bicker and banter about what happened on my favorite show every once in a while. And the reality of it is that it's a show. But getting back to the question at hand, I got a little emotional whenever I saw it because it's a guy that on the show he was a well-to-do guy. He meant well, and most of the things that he did, he was pretty progressive. He just wanted the best for him and his people. And it was a clear cut depiction of a possibility of racism, and it was definitely racist the way that those cops acted in the show. And I know that there's most likely, not even most likely, like I know that it's happened before. Someone that is just has the same beliefs that I do has probably been involved in something like that. However, one of the questions that we talked about asking each other is, can your white friends say the N-word? This is how I feel about it. So that guy in the
like N-word, like INWARD. Can your white friends say N-word?
No, they say nigga.
Oh, nigga. Okay, okay. Just was clarifying.
Of course, we know that the ER is off limits for everybody. I mean, you can't even say that unless it's like we being super stupid. I don't care what you say. Okay. But for the most part, can my white friends say the N-word? I hope my white friends are listening to this.
This podcast is brought to you by Roger's white friends. We are actually counting on your listening and being loyal supporters. I don't have as many white friends as Roger, but I'm taking applications. Shout out Chase.
Shout out Chase. All right, so let's leave Chase out of this. So, so can my white friends say nigga? My white friends in general cannot say the N-word, but, and I am in the minority on this one. And most of the time I am in the minority on my beliefs, especially with this matter at hand. My white friends can earn the right to say it in certain situations. Let me elaborate. If there's a song on, I don't care. Just like whenever the song was on in the show. I wouldn't have gotten in that fight that Reggie got into.
So Reggie overreacted?
In my opinion, Reggie overreacted.
Okay.
If Reggie felt some sort of way, then Reggie should have removed himself from that party. Because like that guy said, that's his house. Whatever he's going to say in his house, he's going to say in his house. If I'm uncomfortable about the way someone's acting or speaking in their home, then I'm going to remove myself from that home and I'm going to find somewhere else to go have fun. That is not the only party that was going on that night. And so whenever you asked me years ago about me being in a certain situation to where I feel like I would be in that situation, I would have left. And I wouldn't have been Reggie in that situation because the cops wouldn't have been called because I wouldn't have caused a stir.
Well, didn't Troy's dad say that would never happen to my son? And on the last episode, it happened to his son because I raised him?
Didn't Troy throw a shovel into the glass?
How do you know when your buttons are going to be pushed to a point where you're upset about something, and then they look at you like you're not the person who you thought that they would look at you as?
So, okay, my rebuttal to that question is, I think if one of those white kids that were protesting threw a shovel into the glass, and it was clear that it was that white guy that threw that shovel into that glass, he would have went to jail too.
Would he have reached that for his
Or he would have at least.
That's not the point about him going to jail, but did you realize when the cop reached for his weapon?
Yeah, no, that was horrible. I do think, for me to sit here and say,
that's the difference, man. Like, I'm not trying to quantify it or make it any, like, your black skin is scary to some people, and I think you know that. But my whole point always has been, I don't think you know to what extent your black skin is scary to some people. The same cop who would arrest your friend might pull a weapon on you. That's all I'm saying, man.
And that is true. So yeah, I've been kind of arrested a few times. Hope my mom and dad aren't listening to this because they definitely don't know. But anyway, I've been kind of arrested a few times, and I've been pretty compliant whenever I get arrested. And for what I've been arrested for, I have definitely deserved it. I think throwing a shovel into a glass is deserving of being arrested and complying. If you're kind of fighting and saying get off of me and all of that stuff, I'm not saying you should have a gun pulled out on you. That is not what I'm saying. I hope you're not, whoever's listening.
I don't know. That sounds like that.
Conclusion.
That's what you're pivoting towards.
But it's not. I'm just saying, if you get arrested, if you just so happen to get arrested, here's my advice. It might not be the advice that anybody else will give to you, but my advice is to comply. And then if you want to fight it, then you fight it after you get out of jail or wherever you're going.
Spoken like your mother, because I'm not getting my shot. Mother. Spoken like our parents telling us how to come back home. So I feel you on that. I mean, but I have maybe not unlike, but I definitely have had that moment where the color of my skin has put me in harm's way with police in the past. I was driving my car one time, and a police car was coming in the direction toward me and turned around and got behind me and stopped me and pulled me over and said, "I'm pulling you over because your light is out over your license plate." And I'm like, how would you even see that coming towards me? And then they pulled me out, did the whole nine. I'm standing there frustrated because he said that. I'm not doing anything. I, for whatever reason, stuck my hands in my pockets, like on some damn, I'm just kind of frustrated. He pulls his service weapon on me and tells me to get on the ground because I had get your hands out your fucking pocket, is what he told me. So, and I have friends who have stories that are similar in nature. So, I mean, I'm compassionate, and I definitely empathize with the situation of the young black man, the college sophomore who he was in this show, who doesn't get it, who doesn't understand exactly, the ramifications of his actions versus the ramifications of his classmates. And he ends up in a situation where he's the one getting the gun pulled on him. Whereas if that had been any of his classmates who didn't share his skin complexion, it probably would not have taken place that way. That's where I'm at with it.
And Coco.
And Coco was crying. Coco was bad, though.
Absolutely. I'll be honest with you. I was crying. If I would have been there, I'd have been crying. For the same reason that Coco was crying. It was definitely, yeah. Okay. Is racism real? Of course it is. Of course it is. I'm not sitting here and glorifying the cops. I know there's some cops that'll definitely abuse their power for racial reasons. We're talking about the show.
Okay, so back to the show. Let me ask you a question.
I wouldn't have gotten gun put out on me.
Let me do my thing. Right quick, and that's all I'm gonna say is this. Let me quantify this and say it as rationally as I can say it. Can my white friends say the word nigga? No. So no is my answer, and that was it. And that was really easy. And I can probably tell you why. Can they wrap this up? Why you want to say nigga is my answer. Why you want to say nigga so bad? When I used to be a school teacher, I remember one time this kid was he was in the class cutting up, and his teacher, who's a white lady who might have been well-meaning, I don't think she was, but she writes him up, and in the write-up, she wrote the word nigga 3 times. Like, she was like, yeah, and he stood up in class and said, I'm the smartest, toughest nigga in this school. Like, she just felt like she had to write it. I feel like sometimes they just feel like they gotta say it. I don't want to they white people like I'm doing right now. Dear white people, I'm not trying to they you right now, but I feel like sometimes people who aren't black and Hispanics, you can join in on this one too, because I feel the same way about it when I hear it from you guys. Sometimes I feel like you just want to say nigga just to be saying nigga, and because it can push a button. It's not because of what it used to be. Like, you know what I'm saying? The reason why we use the term nigga so indiscriminately in our regular conversations, because we do. It's a real thing. You might not say it all the time on the pod, but we do it in real life. It's a thing. Like the dean told his son, when they're in that little situation, they'll have that conversation. Because we've appropriated that word in our generation. Like, the people who grew up listening to Snoop Dogg and Gin and Juice and us, like, we've been saying that word for so long that we understand what it means for us, and we understand what other people use it that they understand that they shouldn't. And they're doing it just to kind of push their limits. I feel that way damn near every time. If you're in a party and they're listening to Trap Nigga by Future, which they were doing in the thing, and the dude's singing along at the song at his own house, maybe Reggie should have left. Maybe you're right. But it felt weird even watching him saying it repeatedly. It feels weird when I see people using the N-word just to be doing it. I don't know. That's my opinion, man. We could agree to disagree on that, but I would prefer.
No, and that's your opinion. My opinion on it from that perspective is that it's a choice. It's a choice.
Yeah. For
you to get mad. It's a choice. It is not something that is you watch the show. It's
definitely your choice. Hold on,
let me finish.
Mad.
Let me get my 15 minutes. Just you got yours. It is you watch the movie Captain America the Winter Soldier, or maybe it was the last one. Maybe it was Civil War. I don't remember, but that Russian read some sort of code and it just clicked that the Winter Soldier turned into like the bad guy.
Yeah.
The word nigga does not do that to black people, or it actually does do that to black people. It does, but it shouldn't. It should not. It turns us into something that somebody we aren't. It turns us aggressive, and that's a choice. And I just feel like if we weren't as aggressive behind the word, then the word would just devalue itself into something that wouldn't offend us. That's how I truly feel. And I just think it's some people might call it putting the cart before the horse because you're not bringing awareness to it and blah, blah, blah. But if you put the horse before the cart and just quit letting the word bother us so much and just move on to something else in life, let them say it. And I hate to them them. Dear white people, I hate to them you.
This podcast is brought to you by them.
But you can, in my opinion, I don't own any rights to that word. Neither do you. So
can I granted, really quickly?
if you come up to me, I think if you go to a woman and you call a woman the B word, I hate to curse.
That's why I was going with it. Continue.
Women, how I feel and how I think it's commonly perceived is that women are emotional beings. Black people turn into emotional beings in the same light when that word is spewed. So I'm not a woman. If somebody says it, my life goes on. I just walk in the opposite direction. Because you're trying to hurt me if you're saying it derogatorily. You're trying to hurt me. And I don't want to be hurt. And you don't mean enough to me to hurt me. So I'll just remove myself from this situation.
I'm going to interject and say this just really quickly. That's actually one of the most articulate things I think I've ever heard you say in real life. Like, I've been knowing you a long time, and that was actually a pretty decent argument as to why not to get upset when someone uses derogatory words towards you. My only response is, we're humans, and it's part of the human condition sometimes as a person to take things personally. And when someone says something that bothers you, to react. You don't have to turn into lizard face. You don't have to be like in some kind of rage, but you can address it. And I think Reggie in that party was addressing it. I think he was basically saying, "Hey man, you don't have to use the word." And he started with, hey man, I would prefer if you didn't." He told him that like 2 or 3 times, and the response was that like the guy knew that it was bothering him, but he continued to say, "Oh man, why I can't say it? Why I can't? Why it's on the song? Why can't I say it?" Was his response. I mean, I know everybody was drunk. Alcohol plays a part in these things too, but still, in the big scheme of things, Reggie was being, or like telling him, it's bothering me as a friend. If it's bothering me, which they were kind of in a friendly scenario, the guy should have peeled back and been like, "Hey man, that bothers you? I won't do it." If you have a female friend and you're like, "Bitch this, bitch that, bitch that, bitch that," and she like, "Hey, that bothers me," and she says it in a real rational way, you would probably stop.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. I just think so. Okay, I don't want to be a broken record, and I honestly, like, I really have nothing more to say about it because it's definitely a hot button, and I'm super glad for the sake of this podcast that we're on kind of like opposite spectrums of it because it just makes for better podcasting, right? It does not make me mad.
You could come on home whenever you want to, my brother.
Shut up. So it doesn't make me mad. It makes you mad. That's great. This is must listen to podcasting. I think this segment of the podcast is something that should go viral. I don't think you can go viral after you say viral though.
I got one more point that I want to talk about in Dear White People, and I don't want us to exhaust and get over an hour before we even get to it. And that last thing is just this, kind of in the same thing. What's your opinion on white dudes and black chicks, man? I mean, you know, Gabe was over there. You was loving Sam. Sam was going home with Gabe.
No,
Gabe
but you know what though?
Sam, man.
I don't care if you white. I don't care if you black. I don't care if you're Mexican. You wanted
Why they
Sam.
gotta be Mexican? Can they not be Hispanic?
Because if you're Hispanic, then you're Mexican.
Go ahead.
This podcast brought to you by racism.
No, this podcast is not brought to you by that way of thinking.
So, this podcast brought to you by quesadillas. So anyway,
by quinceañeras and Joel Embiid's
taquero. So, yeah, no. And let me get back to my spiel here. I don't mind. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Chinese. So, you wanted to see Sam with Reggie. It just made sense. It just made sense. It just made sense. And when, of course, whenever she was moaning and groaning, and you didn't see who it was on the other side, that was theatrical beauty because they brought out the white dude. You know, like they brought out like the what you didn't expect.
Well, if you watched the movie, you would expect it.
And okay, so here's the thing. So for theatrical sake, for lack of a better word, I can't get away from that theatrical word. But anyway, for the sake of must see TV, I think that it was necessary. Nope. I think that it was awesome. I think it was great that happened in the show.
Got you.
Funny enough, Sam's weird, and that's what I liked about Sam. I liked the fact that she was biracial, and she was so much so. No, there's more to it. So much so she wanted to side with. She wants to be black. You know, like whenever you're biracial and you're in the middle, you gotta choose. You can't be both. So she wanted so bad to be black. So cool. We accept you. We'll accept you, Tiger Woods. You know? So you want to be black. But all of a sudden, you got this get out worthy black dude that's loving on you, and you choose the white guy for whatever. I don't know why. I have no reason. I don't know, but I know that love is blind. And when I live in a different place than Aldo Nice. When I see that out here, it means nothing to me. It's common. I live in Denver. Common. When I'm back home in Louisiana, it looks weird. It really does. And it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable, but I know that it makes some people feel uncomfortable. And it just looks weird to me when I see it back home because I know that people are looking at them. And so I feel bad for them. That's how I feel about white dudes. But I can't say that I'm against it because I've definitely dragon slayed a bunch of white men's daughters. So
dragon slayed them. Stop it! I don't know anything about the sort. My grandmother's still living, so yeah, I don't sip the. I don't know anything about what you're referring to. So my opinion on that would be, Grandma, listen.
You better not know anything about that.
Actually, this podcast is brought to you by people who got white grandmothers who really black. But anyway,
why everybody grandmother light skin?
Because we from Louisiana, and they're like, that's the real thing, man. You know,
I'll make
thank
my
God
point.
For like he ridiculous.
No, like your hair is kind of soft, and your grandmother kind of light skin. Somebody. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen your family tree, but some white man was either busting up one of you know.
That's okay. Now we could get into a deeper philosophical conversation about busting up actually being bad things in the I mean, let's just be honest. That's it's slavery. That's slavery. But anyway, so my opinion on white dudes and black chicks is really simple, and it's just, I guess for me, it just kind of boils down to how I feel about the white dude. Like, I generally kind of look at it like, beautiful. I think black women, when they see black dudes with white women, they feel strongly about it. Like, oh boy, you couldn't date a sister. Like they'll get on you, but if they turn it around and say, well, half of y'all in jail are gay, which is how they like to frame it.
1 in every 6.
So it's like it's no good black dudes for me out here. So I need a date outside my race, and it's just completely okay and empowering for black women, but for black men, like, you're doing something wrong. So I always thought that there was kind of a double standard there. But my bigger thing is just, like, I was okay with Robin Thicke and Paula Patton. Like I'm okay with the white guy. Isn't Robert De Niro married to a black woman? Like, I'm okay. Like, I
don't know, but I'm okay with Dirk Nowitzki and his fall paper making black woman. I knew you was gonna love it.
I love Dirk. So I'm kind of okay with it. Sam was supposed to be with Reggie, but in a bigger thing, I'm okay with a white dude. Like, as long as he's not trying to be black, and I think there's a whole quote unquote trying to be black. What does that mean? But if you're trying to be a culture vulture, I prefer you to just be who you are. Like, just be who you are. If you like white dude who's like if you're a khaki shorts wearing, sandals wearing, white dude with a Columbia shirt on, and am I typecasting? Like, I'm okay with that. Some boat shoes. Like, I'm okay with you just being a white dude and dating a sister. You don't have to be like, I'm wearing. Don't you have some Jordans to put on? Like Sam told him. Like, you don't have to be that guy. You don't have to put on Jordans. You don't have to be swaggy. It's not a thing. So
let me ask you a question, and I'm so glad that this podcast got to be about, I guess, certain hot button topics. But to get back to
the name of the show is Dear White People. Where'd you think we were going to go with this?
I know. I see where I expected to go. But to get back to the show, here's a question, because we both said the same thing, but I'm actually thinking right now. Was Sam supposed to be with Reggie? Or what the hell was Sam supposed to be with Troy?
Well, back to our favorite character on the cool, because we didn't want to have a man crush on Troy, but we both really liked Troy.
Definitely had a man crush on Troy.
But we didn't want to say it. Troy got to smash Nia Long, but I don't know why he didn't smash it in the why he had to smash it outside. Because
that's their spot.
Okay, true enough. He got to smash Nia Long and Coco, and I think didn't he used to smash Sam like freshman year? Like Troy was.
Yeah, but
Troy was out here getting
they
it.
didn't even like him and Sam were trying to go on like a trip together. Like they were actually a thing.
Yeah.
And they didn't even elaborate on that. Like they never showed that piece. All they showed was Sam and Troy sitting in the office with the dad telling them, hey, we're about to go on this trip. And it was like,
Yeah, I mean, they was together. Obviously, that was implied. So yeah, Troy was out there using that. Like I just when you said that, I just thought about him cutting his hair again, and I couldn't stop laughing. Troy was out there putting meat on Lionel, man. Stop it, man. What was the question again? I forget your question. You said was she supposed to be with Troy?
Troy or would you rather her with Troy or who did you want to see? Troy or Reggie?
I definitely like the Troy Coco dynamic. I feel like Coco's ambitious. She's got like kind of this Michelle Obama. Okay, so time out. Let me backtrack on there because this is something that like stuck with me. When all of this stuff went down, Coco was in there at that meeting talking about I'm from the South Side of Chicago. I've seen people get shot and whatever. When are people from? I mean, I wonder if people from Chicago are already tired of being like the poster child for like bad black people. Like right now, like anytime somebody like starting with Trump, it's like anytime anybody wants to say anything bad about black culture, it's like, oh, well, we need to go to Chicago. The Chief keeps killing everybody out there with Lil Dicky. I mean, not Lil Dicky. I don't know what his name is. One of those little rappers. But my whole point is just Lil Durk. That's why I was going with it. But I didn't like that. That stuck out to me. It's like she could have been from anywhere. Why'd y'all have to make it like the south side of Chicago?
That might have been the fuel that sparked or that flamed the cliche article that you read on The Ringer. That one piece.
You think
the fact that she had to say of all the places that she could have just said, I'm from the hood. No.
I'm from the hood.
She chose the number one cliche city.
I'm from Newport. I'm from Newport News, Virginia. I'm from North
I'm from
New
the
Jersey.
south side of
anything
Quahog, Rhode Island. Like, yeah, she could have.
I'm from Back Manila Projects, New Iberia. She couldn't have said that.
From Moberham. Yeah, so no, she could have said she could have said a whole bunch of things, but she chose I'm from the south side of Chicago. Yeah, I didn't think about it, but I don't really care because I like Coco, you know that, and I liked her her role in the show. Do I want her to be the main character? No, because I needed to be must see TV, but I liked her dynamic. I liked the fact that she was best friends at one point in time, and with Sam, and their ideologies were completely different, but yet they in the long run they'd probably be best friends for life.
You do need Sam to push the story along. Sam is the trigger person for there to be a potential season 2. Like she's always kind of the rabble rouser who's in the middle. But at the end of the day, I don't necessarily root for her. I think she's kind of, like I said, self-absorbed a little bit, and I'm a bigger fan of like other characters besides her. So I really don't care who she ends up with. Like she's like when I said the interracial relationships is about how I feel about the dude. It is also how I feel about the woman too. So if I could care less about that black woman, like if she's like to me, then go ahead. I don't care who you date. Why does that matter to me? Like please do you? Like like they would say about me if black women saw me dating a white woman, they'd be like, we don't want him. Look at him, nappy head. They come at me.
And to degrade yourself like that is you're just fishing for compliments. So,
because I'm nice,
because you're Aldo nice. If you weren't attractive, I wouldn't hang with you. I can't go to the club with you if you're ugly. I'm sorry. So,
yeah, this probably takes away from the team, now doesn't it?
Right. So, no, definitely. If you had a big,
but would you hang with Odell Beckham if he wanted to go to the club with you? If he said, "Let's hang out," if he whispered in
my ear, if he whispered in my ear and asked me to do something later on. This podcast is brought to you by Cody Ray.
Whoa,
keeping us all fresh, one Instagram post at a time. So
one Instagram post at a time.
So if Odell whispered in my ear one night and asked me to do something a little later on tonight, hey man, you mind if we kick it a little later on? Odell's.
I might give you a little haircut.
Odell's.
I might give you a little haircut or whatever.
He can't do my line. So, no, I would want to. I would want to hang out with Odell because I want to hang with the big dogs. I would definitely want to hang out with Odell. But I would come to my senses and say, Odell just wants to smash me. That's all. He just wants to smash me, and I'm not going. I'm not going to hang with him.
He might not even call you afterwards.
Like, just imagine if Odell got me drunk and he was like, man, look, hey, I don't know if you need a place to stay. I know you fucked up. You could come to the house. And, I'm thinking, man, Odell's really, really nice. Like, that's my dog. Like, I didn't know we was cool like that. But, yeah, I guess I don't have work tomorrow. Yeah, I'll come. I guess I could crash at the crib. What y'all doing? Oh, no, we just going to watch the game tomorrow and stuff. All right, cool. Hey, man, look, I actually got, you could take my bed. I'm gonna go see what's up with the little shorty from the club. Okay, cool. Where you not coming back tonight? Probably not. And they just made my bed. I got a maid that come and make my bed. All right, cool. Yeah, well, I guess. Thanks, man. Sweet. And then all of a sudden, I know what's gonna happen. Like, me sober, that man's gonna try to spoon me, cuz. He's gonna try to spoon me, and he's gonna play all the games that I play when I get in the bed with a girl. Like, and then the thing is because this gets.
He gonna grab your hand. He gonna grab your hand and make you put it on.
Yeah, and then like I'm only like usually girls will give you look. This is funny. Usually girls, like you try to go like in the pants, and they give you maybe like 3 times and then they give up. I'm only giving him one time. Don't put your hands in my pants. Don't do that. But like what's funny is you're not about to. We're not doing this. So no, that's what I just gave you a little piece into my mind of if I would go out with Odell, and I told you exactly what would happen if I would say yes. So no is the answer to that question.
Well, I mean, I felt the same way when the Saints just signed Adrian Peterson. I was like, that is one of the biggest free agent acquisitions we've had since like Darren Sharper. And I thought about, damn, I was such a big Saints fan. And Darren Sharper, we could do a whole podcast on how fine Darren Sharper was to them chicks. Like my ex used to be like, Darren Sharper or bust. Like I'm like, Alan, that's my celebrity, whatever. I busted open for Darren Sharper yesterday. And now we find out Darren Sharper was he was dropping pills. He's Cosbying them. Like, but if Darren Sharper, if I ran into him, he was like, hey, you watch the Saints, let's go out. That man might have dropped something in my little drink.
No, but I don't think Darren Sharper was looking for you. Like, I think Darren Sharper would have been more so along the lines of, say, Al, I got these pills. We could get any bitch in here we want.
I'd end up in jail being his accomplice.
You might have got away with it, though, because who's to say that man would have wanted to hang out with you a bunch? Like, you might have just got one night. You'd have said, well, Darren Sharper gave me this pill. I might as well put it to use. Pop it in a drink. Smash the baddest bitch you ever had in your life. And then go home.
This episode can't go any further, man. This is done. This is the
it's just like a choice.
This is when the music is about to start fading out on this particular podcast because we got to
my best friend say if she was me, she would let you go long time ago. Is that right? My best friend say